volunteer fire department has approached us. Now that we have these wonderful, excellent functioning fire hydrants, we don't have the equipment to operate them in the time of need. So there was a significant savings in them not bringing the water to the fire station, remember? In that they chose to do that piece themselves, and I was wondering if with that savings we could fund the expense for the bags and the wrench and the valves needed to make the fire trucks compatible with the fire hydrant.
I mean, the question I would have is about the intent and the spirit versus the legality. I mean, the bond is for the completion of the water line to those places on the one hand. On the other hand, that would be using the money to make the water accessible and actually usable. So it seems to me, for the fire department, it seems to me that although it's not going in the ground specifically, it's really
part of
completing. It's part of the system, and so it makes sense to me. What do you think, Troy?
Well, my question is, I understand they're going to have, I think it, and don't quote me, but I think it's
That's
the
okay,
spanner.
the camera's going to quote for
Yeah,
you.
but it's the wrenches that you need to attach all this stuff on and stuff like that. I mean, I'm fine with it, but I'd really like to make sure that this isn't going beyond what that money was for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but...
And to kind of just add more dimension to it, whenever they have to use a fire hydrant, when they go assist Brattleboro, they use their stuff.
Right.
They don't,
stuff,
yeah,
right.
they just borrow theirs. So if we were to have an emergency...
Did they not anticipate this?
I don't know if it... I can't answer
No,
that.
I ran into Brad today and up at Tractor Supply and was talking to him and he said that one of the reasons that they finally charged the line, which they did this morning, was in the event that there was a fire. It was too bad the fire department didn't have that hydrant to use.
Right, right.
I wasn't really aware of that at that point. So I know they used to fill their trucks down on Brattleboro Road.
Yeah.
Right.
But they were using Brattleboro's equipment down there. So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's...
I mean, we've had
small money for...
significant savings on that whole project.
Yeah.
It's significantly less than the savings. The
That
expense is significantly less than the savings that we reaped on them
Not taking it right into the building.
Yes.
And so do we know what we're talking in terms of how much we're spending?
$4,500.
I make the motion that we approve that. And we're approving using the bond money for that, correct?
Correct.
I second it.
All in favor with say aye, and if you would just make sure the legality of it before you
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Aye.
aye. And so the water's charged, we've got water now.
Yep.
And what, do we know where we are with permits?
We have an allocation letter from the town.
Katie, I'd like to commend you on your persistence in getting that.
I won't say.
No, I really don't. But I think you did a good job of getting Steve Barrett to share.
We had a kumbaya moment.
So at this point, we have the allocation, we have a draft allocation letter that people can use.
Well, my letter went to him, he approved it, he drafted a letter so that we have our system now, so that now I can turn around and give grant allocation back to the people
Do
that have
we need to
requested
approve
it.
that letter? Does Barb Sontag or the
No,
developer
Steve
board?
does it, and I'm
Okay,
a
great.
representative for the town
so-
overseeing it. I
And
can
so
sign
then
it.
all we need, the only thing we need to get in place so people can say, I need water, is the permit, correct?
Yep, which
And
they
do-
would work through engineering. So we need
And
to now
Brad- and
bring Brad
Brad.
Brackett back
Okay.
in and look at that whole design again. And for people making their connections.
He hasn't started that permit process?
He
has.
remember we contracted with them to do a design,
Right.
a connection design, so that we could determine what's the best, most efficient way for people to connect. So that when the time came, they already had a preliminary plan, and they could get estimates and everything based on that. And then we go through the permitting
What's
process.
the financial aspect of that? Are people paying in advance, or are we trusting them?
I'm not sure how you guys, we need to talk about how we want to do that.
Hesitant to put in $12,000 worth of water or whatever it costs to somebody's house because they want it, and then say,
No, we could be left with bad loans like we were for the sewer system.
exactly, yeah.
And I don't think that
Yeah.
is prudent to do that.
So
facilitation of process. And if there's any way to assist people in finding funding sources, that's great. But in terms of us being a lender, the town is not a lender.
Yes.
I think, are we ready to schedule the public meeting?
Yep, I think after we talk to Brad, we just need that final conversation with Brad, because I need to see the formal plan from him.
Okay.
We had a preliminary plan, but I need to get that formal plan.
I mean, the only good thing about this yucky weather is that,
It's still warm.
it's still warm.
Mhm.
So, in that sense, people still have the opportunity to.
Right.
Yeah.
My only question is now, where are the meters coming from? Brattleboro gonna provide that
Yes.
stuff?
Mhm.
Okay.
Because when someone seeks allocation and you pay for your allocation,
Mhm.
the
That's
meter
all
is
part of
included in
that?
it.
Okay.
Absolutely, and we
That
got
was-
that covered in the
my
meeting
only-
very early.
That was my
Yep.
only question
Yes.
is, because I know the sewage is not metered,
No, but the water is. So they will get a meter as part of their,
and they'll read it every
Allocation.
month. and then
Brattleboro will
Yeah.
give us the information we bill.
Okay, that was,
Yep.
because I know the nightmare we had with that sewer.
no,
You know, in retrospect, that should have been metered too, I guess.
Yeah.
it
Technically,
says
yeah.
2020. So,
So we'll wait to hear from Brad, or you will contact
yeah,
him.
I will contact Brad. I actually already did. I emailed
So-
him the other day and asked him, can we chat, and I just haven't heard back from him, so I will follow up again. I
So-
don't think I'll need the persistence now.
No, I don't think you will, but what I'm wondering is, we are now on December what? What's the date?
It is the 10th.
Yes.
So, can we anticipate, I'm just trying to think if we wait 2 more weeks before we even schedule a meeting, it's kind of, pushing it back. I'm wondering if we can do a tentative schedule for a meeting,
Yeah.
just and anticipate having, because once you hear from Brad, you'll have the information, and even though the permit process may not be completed, we'll be able to share the information with people, right? Yeah, I'd like to get in.
The weather is not gonna be an issue for putting in water, really. I mean,
No, because they'll have to bore.
they can dig and scratch and bore.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't want us to have to wait till spring, so yeah.
I mean, right now, we've got, what is it, we got a meeting on the 11th, we got a meeting on the 18th,
We have a meeting on the 26th.
and then a meeting on the 26th because of the holidays on the 24th and 25th.
That's right.
Keep me apprised of that, please.
You don't want to come talk.
I don't wanna write all this stuff down too much.
Richard?
My iPhone decided I meant to say select boost instead of select board.
So
I love it when
when
they
do
decide.
you want to know?
Fine.
What do I think?
Yeah,
I think,
I mean, we need adequate time to warn it.
how, define,
weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
That'll put it to
Puts us-
24th,
Mhm.
Christmas Eve.
I would think that we
I'm not
should
available.
say,
Neither am I.
January 2nd or 3rd. Thank you. I do my best.
Are we talking an evening meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, the 20,
20, go ahead, go back there,
No.
20 something.
I have different, that's when you have 2 schedules in.
31st,
No, the 2nd.
It's gonna snow the 31st.
28th, that's a Friday, forget that.
Okay.
27th, no. I think the week between Christmas and New Year's is a bad idea.
I agree.
So I think I'm gonna suggest the 3rd,
The 3rd.
because the 2nd is just first day back to school,
Recovery day.
a recovery day. However, I will point out that the 3rd is a Grange meeting. Oh, that's your Grange meeting. That's at 7, right?
Yes.
Well, we can do a twofer. Can we do this at 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
How about 5:30? We're out of there in 1 hour.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. And at the firehouse.
Well, the Grange meeting is 8 o'clock, so it's actually earlier than that. 5 would be better.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I can do that.
Meeting,
That's why I do this
5 o'clock.
until 5 o'clock?
We'll talk about, we'll figure out location.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good,
And
I'm
this is
glad.
the hearing?
No, this is just a public information meeting, so if you lived in the village and you were wondering about what you need to do to get water, you could hear everything in one place at one time.
Okay.
And if we had somebody from the press there, they'd be putting it in the newspaper too, so
Oh, I'm
another
sure.
source of information.
Mike will be there.
Okay, good. All right.
Are we done with the water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You love me. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Dog dumpster. This is regarding that $100 donation, and I thought of two different places, either the library or the Historical Society for that money to go.
I vote for the, well, yeah, I was gonna say, because the nature of that, I thought the Historical Society was a logical fit, but I would go with either one, both.
I think the library needs a maintenance work done.
Okay.
So that's totally up to you. I mean,
I'm fine. Do you wanna weigh in on that one, Troy?
I mean, it's a great donation. Both places could use it. Let's give it to the library.
You feel the library has more maintenance than you?
Yeah, they got a little more maintenance to be taken care of.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we allocate or direct Doug Dempster's generous donation of $100 toward the library.
Hey, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One question about that, do we want to say what we think it should be used for, or leave it to their discretion?
If we put it as maintenance,
I talked to Kathy the other day about something to do, and I forget what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't waste it.
No, I'm sure they will either.
And would
Do you want to put a
draft
stipulation on it, or do you want to just leave it, it goes to the library?
Maintenance,
Well, okay.
yeah.
I'm worried if there's a repair that maintenance is too specific.
Well,
Say maintenance or
okay,
repair.
you can prepare.
Maintenance of the structure of the Guilford Free Library?
And would you draft a letter to Mr. Webster and let him know that we really appreciate his donation, and if he wants to know more about the Shepherdson, come see me with another can of peanuts or walnuts or whatever it was, almonds. Yeah.
you didn't even use all this.
Yeah, thank you.
No. I think it was the Buckley and the Clark show.
It was the general town office staff.
Yeah.
Throw 'em all
You
under
can't
the
leave,
bus.
you should
No,
know this,
you
never
can't. You
leave food in an
can't
office
leave it in
space.
here.
We have
I know.
rice cakes or that? What are you gonna pick?
Oh, I'm eating the nuts, man.
We had some chocolate covered caramel popcorn that the ACS guy brought, so you should leave us a truckload of that. So back it up.
And, I'm not a big fan of olives, but boy, those were good.
They were, and they're good for you.
Yes, they are.
All right, we'll trot along the highway, and Dan said he's playing cards again tonight, but he's getting the equipment ready for the eventual storm that's gonna come.
My family had got over a foot of snow. I'm jealous of them.
They shut the Mackinac Bridge down. I just tell him he's got a picture from a friend of mine.
Alan's truck is in Morrisville, getting repaired.
Have they switched over to winter hours?
Yes, they have. They've already
When
had
did that happen?
last week.
Last week.
Okay.
They had the first week, right? Wasn't it the first week I saw him there?
And never gets done with hunting season?
Yeah, they're all done, yeah. Other than that, I think things are fairly normal.
They're trudging along pretty good.
Has, Katie, have you talked to Dan at all about just budgetary planning? Okay.
We're all set. We had a long, great talk.
Good.
So good. Ready for tomorrow morning.
Excellent.
I think the one thing they still have to do when it's FEMA related is the graveling.
Yeah.
That,
To find
I
out
don't
about
know if everything holds off, they might get it done, but,
We've talked about that.
Where?
Green River Road, some of those obvious Irene damaged areas, yeah. Finance.
Remember how I said we were gonna talk about the capital fund? just a
Capital
little bit?
fund.
This is the tip of the capital fund iceberg.
Okay.
The capital fund has its own cash account. So we do our finances using fund accounting. So basically we have the big pool of cash that holds all the money, and it gets kind of funded out depending upon what the need is. We've kind of been whittling down our cash accounts to have one main account, one mama, and the capital fund still remains as a cash account. And we would love to close it, because every time we have an expense out of the capital fund, we have to transfer money from the capital fund to the general fund. So remember to do the online transfer with People's Bank, and then you have to remember to do a journal entry to take care of that in the general ledger, because it doesn't go through cash receipts in any way. So there's a lot of extra steps. There's a whole extra reconciliation that has to take place for that cash account. So there's a whole extra extra layer of work involved in having just that extra bank account, so we would like to close that.
Close that bank account, move it all into the.
Yep, so the capital fund remains, just like it does with everything else, but it will have its own money owed to it.
I don't understand that last piece.
Neither do I.
So, it's like me,
Having two checkbooks?
I'm gonna, like, I have, you have 5,000, you have 5,000, you have 5,000.
Okay.
I have a bank account with 15,000 in it.
Mm-hmm.
I owe you 5, I owe you 5, I owe you 5. So anytime you want that money, you're a fund, you're a fund, you're a fund. The cash is held in one account,
Mm-hmm.
and it's owed to the funds.
Mm-hmm. So I spend
So if the
$500 on a truck repair, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
And
So it
I
comes
have to
out of
ask
this
you for the money.
You have a general ledger account number that you request with,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes out of my cash account and goes into your fund.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it is now.
No,
That's where you want it to be.
that's the way we
That
want
there-
it to be.
But as it
So
is
that I don't
now,
have to go get your money from here for me to write a check to give to you.
where's there?
The other cash account.
Okay, so there are two cash accounts at
Yes.
this point.
There's the capital cash account and there's the general
General,
operating
okay.
cash account. So if there's one cash account, we never have to do transfers between accounts. We never have to do additional journal entries, which we're trying to get away from doing manual journal entries whenever we can.
Mhm.
For
So
financial
it will
control
still be-
reasons.
It will still keep its identity.
Right. that's-
Absolutely. You'll still see Fund
That's-
004 as the capital fund.
Mhm.
So instead of it having its own checkbook,
Mhm.
it has its own fund number, and you would never know unless I told you.
Okay. Well,
So in
Closing
other words,
account.
everything's going into one general account.
So when we get, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So interest is earned in that one place.
Instead of 16 different places. or
Exactly. We
whatever it
went
is.
from having tons of little
Tons of
checking
them,
accounts,
yeah.
Right.
and we've been slowly whittling around, taking them down. Remember, the equipment fund closed and went into the capital fund.
As long as it
Now
keeps
we're
its
going-
identity, that's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's-
And there are certain funds that we need to keep them with their own cash accounts by statute.
Such as,
The reappraisal fund, I think, is one.
how about those, like cemetery funds and things like that?
Separate. They're not really town funds.
Yeah.
When are you gonna pay me that $5,000?
Yeah, but when we get our
Really?
5,000 you were talking about.
Why not? I have it in my imaginary $15,000.
All right, so I think,
We would like to transition over to getting that closed, which will probably take a few months. I don't think there's any expenses going through it at this time. so-
and I'm assuming that that this is really best accounting practices,
Yep.
and that our accountants have said you should get this done.
It is.
Yeah.
The less checks that
Yeah.
you have floating out there
Yeah.
and signers and
Yeah.
everything else,
Mhm.
yes, it goes from one place.
Because we got a pretty
Wasn't
good
that-
report on our audit.
Yeah,
I was
and we're
gonna
getting
say,
better.
didn't we, yeah, I think that was mentioned in that last email from, isn't her name Erin?
Packy.
Yes.
Yes, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Capital is the last.
All right, well,
The
then we
chunk
need a
of the pie
motion
that
to
we-
make that change?
That would be
to
great.
To close the
Sure, just
separate
to
account
formalize
for
it.
the capital fund,
Yeah, the cash.
and have that money be actually in the general fund, although the account numbers stay the same and the account stays separate, but not the check, not the money pile.
Yeah.
You want me to clear that
Yes,
a little bit?
How about, would you like me to give you some language?
Sure.
And move to authorize closing the capital fund cash account and transfer the money into the town general cash account.
I thought that's what I just said.
You did.
I think you
You
did, but
did.
it was, it had a couple
I just
leaves
typed
there,
that.
a couple
Yeah.
small.
Okay, thank you.
If that is all right with you, I will second your motion. Cleaned up.
Keep its identity.
The capital, I'll put the capital fund
Yeah,
004, which it is,
Yeah.
will remain intact.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because we don't need Richard saying, well, we just pulled that number out of the
No.
air again.
No, yes, it will make it
Okay.
much simpler.
Did he second?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I
all in favor?
Aye.
Like all of those expenses when we did the sand shed that time, remember when it kept coming through, I do a transfer every
Every
single
time.
time. And then if you forget to do one online transfer, you're like, oh, the general ledger doesn't match the reconciliation, so then you have to go back and find, it's a pain, it's a big pain. So, that's that.
Good.
I would like to make the following motions. We pay payroll of 12/2/12 for $5,576.70. Payroll of 12/9/12 for $4,743.45. For a total of payroll for $10,320.15. To include warrant number 10 for $36,109.44. for a total expenses of payroll and warrant for $46,429.59.
I'll second.
Okay.
Aye.
He can do that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Would you clarify for me just to go over, on the record or whatever, the old garage roof and door, what needed to happen because, it was because of the break-in?
Just
Yeah.
to break in and it needed to be buttoned up, basically.
Yeah, it was pretty open.
It was essentially, you could have walked down there and pulled pretty good, and the doors would have come right open.
So that really wasn't as a result of the break-in, that was just a result of that it needed that kind of tightening
And
up?
with the stuff what we've got inside there, from what I understand from Danny,
They're also gonna clean out
And they're
more
also
so that we
gonna
can
clean
store
out
more
more.
equipment in it.
Okay.
and start storing some stuff in there, some valuable stuff. So.
And again, that was an anticipated expense.
I don't know if it was more reactionary than anticipated. And I mean, if you keep in mind, over the last couple of years, we've repaired joists, we've done some wiring improvements in there, so slowly, little things.
We had to do the roof, remember, a couple of years ago
Yeah,
down there?
I do.
You hand those to Richard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Communications, when you get,
And that's one of those things that as we move forward, that expense will probably take place in a capital expense account versus a operating. There's a memo from Dan Ingold about Valerie Bly's property and kind of
Is this,
clarifying that it's not in the flood.
It's steps.
yeah.
Yes, that's the follow-up to that.
So he clarified that it's not in.
Yeah, he wrote a letter of, like a memo of support. That's why I didn't get a phone call.
I didn't hear from him.
There's a letter of property line adjustment exemption for a couple of parcels on Sugar House Hill Road. Vermont Association of Police Chiefs, if anybody would like to attend the luncheon, it's January 8th. This
I'll do
one,
all of them.
I found interesting. There's a letter from Rescue. There was talk about them changing the structure of their board and not having town representation anymore. And at the annual meeting, the sponsor of the proposed changes asked to have those related to board composition be indefinitely tabled. This was approved by a majority of those present. As a result, each of the towns we service continues to maintain the right to appoint a voting representative to our board.
What's the backstory there? Do you know? I gather there was pushback from towns, clearly.
There must have been. Penny probably could come and
Yeah.
share more about it than we're kind of third hand. But it was coming up with a board that was more, I think, focused and maybe experienced with, I don't know for certain, but it's kind of interesting that
I'd like to find out why.
Who's our well,
Penny.
Penny, oh, okay, so, I mean, I think it makes sense to maintain the town representation.
I do too.
But,
I do too.
and I think the fact that it was
We just
tabled
paid them how
indefinitely.
much?
Yeah.
$42,000?
I'm not sure if it was a administrative takeover they were looking at or something else, but.
But it either, at any point, it was, as they said, indefinitely tabled, it's not gonna
Yes,
happen.
yeah, so it sounds like it's, not a bad thing.
Well, it wouldn't be a bad thing, regardless of what the story's on that, just to have Penny at some point when it's convenient for her, do an update on what's going on.
Exactly.
Yep. We have a letter for funding request from Svets.
This, we were anticipating
Yes,
this.
we were. So what, I'm kind of gonna move this up out of communications into old business so that you guys can pass a motion on how you'd like to proceed with that, because that did not happen when she was here. You guys talked about it, but you didn't formalize how you wanted to proceed in terms of their funding request. You have discretion to.
Do you have the letter right there?
I do.
And they wanted how much per head?
$3 per head, and that's a whole bunch of money to ask for something that's
That
in
is a
its
whole
working
bunch.
stages. I have issues with it. The more I read about it, the more hesitant I get to say that it's more of an idea than a plan, to use those two terms if you can separate them.
They're asking to appropriate $6,300.
Yeah.
during our discussion, I talked with you about regional economic development, future plans and why we need your support with public involvement. How do I say, CEVEDS has established preliminary economic goals for the region and action-oriented work plans. We have just begun the process for development of a federally recognized comprehensive economic development strategy, which will develop more detailed development strategies based on economic cluster analysis and public and private sector engagement. Completion of this will also make qualified public and private infrastructure and development projects eligible for additional types of federal investments. We also talked about the $50,000 challenge grant that we received from the town of Brattleboro this summer. The Brattleboro Selectmen agreed to raise and contribute $50,000 from their community development block grant to support CEVEDS if CEVEDS could raise and match $50,000 from other municipalities. Because the Brattleboro Select Board saw the urgency in the actions, they agreed to give us $25,000 in advance, raising bid from other municipalities. $3 per person, as you said. Opportunity to come a question. I mean, I'm ambivalent because there might be some value that comes out of this. You said at the last meeting, I think, that you felt that most of this value would be for Brattleboro. I'm concerned about the economic health of this region, significantly concerned about it. And this came out of that, I attended that Senate hearing last spring and heard from all these different representatives about their extreme concern about Wyndham County. This came out of that, so I can see the value. I don't know that we can go to the voters and ask for this.
I can't, I mean, the fact that Brattleboro technically hasn't pledged a dime to them, it's all grant money.
It's all grant money?
Yeah,
It's from their
$50,000
block grant?
Oh, okay, right.
And that sort of is and they're holding the gun to our head because Brattleboro gave them $25,000 that we're supposed to. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I just don't like the way it's presented. I don't like reading the email I got the other day about all the stuff they're going to do, all the jobs they're going to make,
Why not? What bothered you about the email? I didn't see it.
It would be nice if they could do it, but how can they?
I see. So it's more like you're just skeptical that they can really make this stuff
Right.
happen. Yeah.
And the amount of jobs they're creating, there's that many lost every week in the paper, so they're not creating jobs, they might be filling jobs. I'm cynical in my old age, I admit that, but I mean, it's just if at the very least, I would ask for a motion to request a petition from them.
That they get a petition
They
from
get a
council.
petition to present to the town rather than us
So
taking
follow
this.
Guilford's regular policy for appropriation.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'd be more comfortable with that than just closing the door on the whole thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, if they can get people to support their effort, that's fine.
If
It's
they get the townspeople to support it.
yeah, that'd be very
So
good.
they'll have to petition, which was 5% of the voters, I believe,
Yeah.
about 100 people,
Uh-huh.
give or take.
Which means they'll have a chance to talk to people. 100 people?
No, excuse
No,
me.
okay.
No, my bad.
Yeah.
So it's been 80-some people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
80, 84, 85, somewhere in there, yeah.
But then
And
doesn't that mean that they have to come to town meeting day?
No.
they don't
it's
have
not-
to, but
it's
it
not
would
this.
be that much more helpful for them to have a representative to speak to the article on town meeting day, for sure. So,
Okay,
It's
so
it's a pretty good shot of money to put out there for basically an unknown.
for a concept, I understand, and I mean, what I like about what they're doing is they're looking regionally at, at the health of this county. And I agree with you, I'm not sure what they're gonna be able to affect in terms of changes, but I think we can't put our head in the sand and just say,
Can I apply the old adage, I'm from the federal government, I'm here to help you?
no, because I don't think this is about, I don't think this is about the federal government.
I know, but that's the
Oh,
old
you
adage.
cannot. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we respond to Laura and tell her that we felt the best course of action, given the size of the money, and the fact that the town really knows nothing about this, would be for them to petition townspeople to get this into an article on the warning for town meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, there's one other thing on I read earlier?
Wastewater permit?
No, the one about the census was 3,000, not 2,100.
Oh, that wasn't on there, that's just a budget request?
Oh, just a budget request.
Yeah, from HCRS.
Yeah. Should we correct that census?
Tell me what's mistake.
It's
HCRS.
yeah, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
They said that the census of the town was 3,000 people, and $1 a head.
Oh, and that's how they figure what they're asking for.
Yeah,
And that's very
there's
wrong.
only 2,100 people in town, so.
Do you want to mention that to me tomorrow morning? and I'll-
Yeah, I think we should correct that.
Yeah, give them a
Yes.
call and see if they can change that, yeah. I mean, $900 is $900 at this point, you know.
Yes, it is.
Wastewater permit.
Wastewater permit approved for a project on Melindy Hill Road for a 4-bedroom home with on-site water and wastewater system. And that is it.
So, do we have in our minds a sense of what we want to get done tomorrow morning? And how long we want to work? I told you I've got an appointment at 10.
Yes.
So.
It's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
I'm not ready to do highway.
we are a little bit ready to do highway. We can talk about the capital fund,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because that's gonna be a big drum that I'm gonna keep sounding. And some kind of planning, more conceptual stuff than actual.
Number crunching.
Yeah, because a lot of the numbers are level funded,
Okay.
just based on
And-
historical performance.
Breakfast is continental breakfast or
Oh, I didn't even think we should have a little fair.
yeah, I mean,
What are you going to bring?
Yeah.
The girls usually do the
I
dinner
know,
time.
yeah.
I think the boys should do that breakfast. And a box of munchkins is fine.
pretty much, I suppose, it's like, 7:30, I
Coffee, right?
could you make coffee here?
I don't really have much to do that with.
I will do that. I've got a thermos. I'll bring a thermos of coffee.
I mean, that coffee's pretty old. I don't have cream.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anybody that drinks it with me anymore. So and I don't even drink it anymore.
All right, you're a chai
I'm a
girl.
shy girl.
Yeah.
I drink like tea like we're a bunch of British people.
Yeah.
Easy.
I
I
think,
know.
I think there's one, okay, I'll match. I think his, Bill and I got a little bit of a setback on our road stuff according to the thing you got on the signs. The sign inventory,
Yeah.
because Bill and I were gonna do the roads and, you know, the traffic ordinance and all that stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
with that,
they're
with
not
that,
complete now. Did
with
you?
that sign, it's not complete, the other stuff, we get cranked up here.
Okay.
The other thing that I had mentioned earlier, I don't know if you want to say more about that.
No.
Was just about Lynn and Rachel. I don't know how we are going to fill Dennis's vacancy. And if anybody did you get a chance, Katie, or anybody give Matt Mann that feedback?
No, but I will.
Because I think that's important for him to hear that's,
I don't know if it's Matt Mann. I'd say it's more Chris Campany.
Well, I think, according to Dennis, Matt's the head of that, his subcommittee.
Particular committee, but I think that's the way it is with
Sure.
every committee that you're on.
Okay, so just to Chris then. But I think nonetheless, we need to, think of somebody, but that seems, I mean, when you think of somebody on the one hand, on the other hand, I hesitate to ask somebody to do the amount of work that Dennis was describing.
I
2 meetings a month driving and then subcommittee meetings and driving all over the county, and the evening night all over the county.
could volunteer
Wanna do
for
it?
that, I could volunteer for that, I guess.
Are you crazy?
I know,
Did they change their minds
I'm
again?
gonna just type that right in here.
That he's crazy? or
10%
they
of
changed
the
their
people do what? 90% of the work?
Yeah.
I spoke to one of the,
In the absence of somebody else. Interim. You'll serve as an interim?
Serve as an interim till town meeting anyway, say the serve as an
okay,
interim.
all right,
And then you can, if you're happy,
yeah, I'm always happy.
you're always happy, but if you're happy in that position.
Until doomsday.
Yeah.
And then it won't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
happens to be
that's the 21st.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Way to go, Richard.
I spoke to one of the higher ups, not very high, but higher ups in central Vermont, Green Mountain Power, about the pole in Algiers.
Oh,
And
I
I
did some asking too. What did you find?
didn't do my job.
That's because it was moved 2 days later.
There's,
talk to that.
and he said, well, what about this and what about that? And I said, yeah, there are three things that have to happen. The sandwich boards have to be
Yeah, they have to.
relocated differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, there has to be some sort of a barrier so that you can,
There's a car park there, but the big vehicle wasn't there, but there have been
Correct.
small
Yeah,
cars.
yeah,
So I haven't
yeah,
stopped.
yeah. yeah. I called you, said, you called?
Yeah. So did the person say, you know, that
He said he would
not
pass it
snow-
on up, he said he would pass it on up the line.
Okay.
You know.
I mean, the pole is a problem, the sandwich board is a problem. The cars, I think, a minor problem, but it's mainly
Yeah.
the sandwich board and that pole.
Yeah, and I don't feel right asking them to move the pole and not doing the other. You
Oh,
know,
definitely.
I mean, that's, the sandwich boards are just as bad as the pole when you get 3 or 4 of them.
Rob got a ticket, he didn't get a ticket there, but he got stopped.
As sheriff?
Yeah.
Not for speeding.
No, and believe it or not, it was not, but it was for, it had to do with that, because he said, because he was trying to pull out to
Rolling
see.
Yes.
Something like that, and he said, I couldn't see, and he talked to the guy about the intersection, but.
So we're trying to get something done with that. We need to. I mean, it's
Yeah, we
sooner
need
or
to.
later.
It scares me. Every day.
It's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Okay. I will adjourn.
Second.
See you tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
13
But
hours.
don't